How do I find a new job? How can I make a career change? And the biggest question of all, can I really find a career that I love? Hey, my name is Jen Smith, and I believe career success doesn't have to be at the expense of living a radiantly happy and healthy lifestyle. As a former HR leader and recruiter turned career coach, I get what companies are looking for when hiring top talent. What that means for you is an unmatched combination of insider knowledge and the best kept secrets about making heart-based career changes and navigating the ups and downs of job searching in today's world of work. Whether you're a recent graduate navigating the job market for the first time or a seasoned professional ready for a career change, this show is for you. So grab your coffee or your kombucha, pull up a seat, and get ready to be challenged and inspired to move beyond your self-doubt and take the right next steps towards landing a career you love. Because you deserve a long, radiantly happy and healthy career. This is the Flourish Careers podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Flourish Careers podcast. I'm your host, Jen Smith, and today we are talking about a topic I know so many of us struggle with in our careers: saying no. So we're going to start by talking through two different scenarios that you may have encountered. One is saying no to a job offer, and the other is saying no when you're at capacity and your boss has more work for you. These are two scenarios I've had a lot of discussion about through the years, so I wanted to bring this to you in case it's helpful. So we'll talk through strategies for saying no in each of these scenarios and then wrap up with some top tips. So let's get to it. Imagine two professionals at pivotal moments in their careers. Both are faced with decisions that could shape their futures. So first, meet Liz. She's a talented software engineer who has thrived at a reputable company for several years. Despite her success, Liz dreams of new challenges, pushing her beyond her comfort zone. So she has this itch for more. So she began her job search. After updating her LinkedIn profile and talking with a couple former colleagues, she received an interview offer from a very prestigious tech giant, promising all kinds of exciting projects and career growth and perks and all the things. However, as she contemplated the opportunity, Liz realized that it didn't align with her long-term goals or her core and lifestyle values. So specifically, it's a role that she could do and that she's good at, although it isn't work that really lights her up. And she also knew how much extra time it would be to get the new company where they needed to be in this specific space, which went against her lifestyle values. So with clarity and courage, she declined the offer and prioritized her goals and values over external validation and prestige of this big name. So first of all, way to go. Choosing and following your heart over your head or your ego is not an easy thing to do, which I'll walk you through in just a minute. Now, let's shift our focus to Jose, a diligent e-commerce manager for a wholesale distribution company. Jose's days are packed with meetings, deadlines, and endless tasks. All of this work is bleeding into his nights and weekends, even so much that he has to say no to coaching his son's t-ball team, which he was really excited about doing. Then his manager comes to him with a new project. I want to stop here and just say, why is it that when we're good at our jobs, we get rewarded with more work? I will never understand why this happens. But I digress. That's probably another podcast for a different time. Okay, so back to Jose. He realized that he must make some changes to regain control of his workload and his well-being. So he decided to schedule a meeting with his manager to discuss the workload. And through open communication and a few strategic solutions, Jose and his manager found a balance that respects his boundaries while maintaining high quality work. So, can you relate to either of these scenarios? We're going to explore the power of saying no in your career through each of these scenarios. First, let's get into Liz's scenario and discuss how to say no to a job offer that doesn't fit you. I wanted to share from a recruiter's perspective. I want you to know that turning down a job offer is a normal part of the hiring process. Recruiters understand that candidates have unique career goals, different values and priorities, and not every opportunity will fit everyone. In fact, recruiters often anticipate that some candidates will decline job offers, which is why they typically have a backup plan in place. So I remember throughout the hiring process, I'd work closely with decision makers and hiring managers to identify the top 2 or 3 candidates for a particular role. This strategic approach ensures that the company is prepared in case its first choice candidate decides to decline the offer. So as a recruiter, I also wanted candidates to feel empowered to make the best decision for their career, even if that means saying no to an offer. I understood that taking any opportunity that comes your way is not feasible. Instead, it's essential for candidates to carefully evaluate each opportunity and consider how it aligns with their long-term goals, values, and lifestyle. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're considering turning down a job offer, remember that it's perfectly okay to do so. By prioritizing your needs, you're actively shaping your heart-based career path and ensuring you find the right role and company that's going to bring you fulfillment for whatever season of career you're in. So let's talk about how to do this without burning bridges. Number 1 is to express gratitude. Begin by expressing sincere appreciation for the job offer and the opportunity to interview. Let the company know you appreciate their interest in your skills and qualification. I know this goes without saying, but some people feel guilty because they went through the entire interview process and they quote unquote wasted someone's time and then decided to turn it down. None of that is a waste of time. That's what interviews are. You're evaluating the company, they're evaluating you. So it's okay to turn down the offer. Do it with grace by expressing gratitude for their time and the opportunity to discuss the role with the company. Be honest and diplomatic. So in your response, you can be honest about your decision to not accept the offer, but also be diplomatic and respectful. So in the situation I mentioned with Liz, she could say something like, after careful consideration, I've realized that the position may not align with my long-term career goals and values. Very simple, diplomatic, honest, and to the point. If you want, you can add a little bit more, but it's not required. You can mention specific values or aspects of your ideal work environment that the position might not fulfill, but you don't have to go into a ton of detail. From there, you want to showcase confidence in your decision. Sometimes recruiters might try to talk you into it, or they'll get the hiring manager on the phone to try to talk you into it. So you want to show confidence in your decision to decline the offer, and you can do this by reinforcing your commitment to prioritizing your goals and your values. Let them know that you believe the decision is right for you at this point in your career. Also, leave the door open because you never know. Even though you're declining an offer, you can always leave the door open for future opportunities. So as you express gratitude and thanking the company for considering you, you can also express interest in potentially exploring opportunities with them that might be a better fit in the future. You could let them know that the timing just isn't right and you're going to keep your eye on the growth trajectory of the company and potentially reach back out in the future. Of course, you want to follow up with a thank you note. So I recommend sending a thank you note to everyone you interviewed with. So after declining the offer, follow up, showcase gratitude, and thank each interviewer for the opportunity. This leaves a positive impression and maintains professionalism, which could also be beneficial if you decide to pursue future opportunities with the company. Also, remember that your network is crucial in your career. So, after you decline the offer, connect with the interviewers if you aren't already connected on LinkedIn and stay in touch. A big piece of heart-based career planning is to be agile. Things change so quickly, and you never know what might open up in the future or when you're going to run into these folks again. What if one of them leaves that organization and ends up working at your company? You always want to showcase professionalism and stay connected in your network. So, as a quick recap, if you're going to decline a job offer, you want to showcase gratitude, be honest, respectful, and diplomatic. Express confidence in your decision, leave the door open and stay connected, follow up with a thank you note for each person that you interviewed with. By utilizing these strategies, you can respectfully decline the job offer while staying true to your values, which ultimately sets yourself up for a career path that aligns with your heart-based aspirations. Now, let's switch gears to Jose. Navigating conversations about workload with a manager can be daunting, especially for individuals like Jose who are accustomed to performing at a high level and taking on additional responsibilities. So let's dive just a little bit deeper into this situation. So Jose found himself at a crossroads where his workload reached a limit and his manager asked him to take on a new project. So he has to candidly discuss his inability to take on these additional tasks. As a high performer, he's no stranger to going above and beyond to deliver results, but he's now confronted with this reality. His capacity is stretched super thin. He had to say no to coaching his son, and he's going to eventually have to take on more work, and this could all compromise the quality of his output and potentially lead to burnout. This scenario is particularly challenging for Jose because as a high performer, he feels a lot of pressure to maintain his track record of excellence. He has a lot of fear about disappointing his manager or being perceived as incapable. Additionally, there's also a sense of guilt associated with saying no, especially because he's the go-to person for his manager in getting things done. However, Jose recognizes that prioritizing his well-being is essential for his long-term success, high-quality output, and sustainability in his role. So he understands that overcommitting himself could lead to diminished performance, increased stress, and ultimately negative impact on both himself and the company. So approaching this type of conversation requires assertiveness and clear communication. Jose must convey to his manager that his decision to say no to additional work isn't a reflection of his dedication or capabilities, but rather a strategic choice to ensure that he can continue to deliver high-quality results in his current role. So ultimately, Jose's willingness to assert his boundaries and initiate this conversation sets a positive example for himself and his team and colleagues. It's going to demonstrate that saying no when necessary is not a sign of weakness, but it's a proactive measure in maintaining well-being and long-term performance. So if you're in this situation, here are some considerations to go about this. First, conduct a self-assessment. So evaluate your workload against your priorities and take into consideration any existing commitments, deadlines, responsibilities, anything outside your immediate role is included in this self-assessment. From there, I want you to prioritize. I call this ruthless prioritization. Review your tasks and prioritize them based on urgency and importance. Identify which things can be postponed, delegated, automated, reassigned, anything that you can do to create room for new assignments. If you have any data or specific examples, that will help demonstrate that your current workload and the impact on your performance it might cause. So this could include any number of projects you're handling, the hours you're working, any instances of high quality work that might have been compromised due to an excessive workload. Any of that data or examples can be really helpful in this type of situation. From there, you want to request a one-on-one meeting with your manager to discuss your workload. So I recommend that first, making sure this is a separate meeting, so it's not part of another meeting, and it's not scheduled during a hectic crunch time or any critical deadlines. Send a polite email or message requesting the meeting and briefly mention its purpose. I don't recommend blindsiding your manager. So if you can give them a little bit of insight about what the meeting's about, they'll be more prepared for the discussion. The next step is to be prepared and professional. So come to the meeting with a clear and concise message. You want to avoid blaming or complaining. Instead, focus on facts and your desire to maintain high quality work. You could start to anticipate questions and prepare responses in advance. You want to calmly and respectfully explain your current workload, including those specifics and any of the data or examples that you can share. Emphasize your commitment to delivering quality results and express concern that taking on more work may compromise your performance. I also recommend being solution-focused. So bring solutions to the table versus presenting all the problems. Suggest alternatives like prioritizing tasks or redistributing workload or requesting additional resources. Maybe you could hire a contractor or an intern to help support the extra workload. Also think about automation, especially with AI. Maybe there's something that you could automate and make things easier for your entire team. From there, I recommend you listening and remaining open. So be open to your manager's perspective and any suggestions they may have. They may not be even fully aware of this problem or your workload. So this is an opportunity to explain and reach a mutual understanding. And remember, this might be just the first of a couple conversations, so you can always remain open to have another conversation. If the conversation leads to a resolution, ensure you and your manager agree on clear boundaries for your workload moving forward. Be realistic about what you can handle and commit to delivering those results within the boundaries. Now, once the meeting's over, I have to put my HR hat on here and recommend that you send a follow-up email summarizing the key points that were discussed and any agreed upon actions. You can also include the timeline for implementing any changes or solutions, which helps ensure that everyone is on the same page. From there, you want to evaluate your workload regularly. So continuously assess and monitor how changes are going to impact your performance and your well-being. If necessary, you can have periodic check-ins with your manager and make adjustments as you go. Managing your workload and talking to your manager about it might feel overwhelming, but breaking it down into these smaller steps can make it easier for you in the long run. As we come to a close, it is essential to recognize that saying no, especially in these two scenarios, is acceptable and necessary for your professional growth and well-being. Whether you're declining a job offer that doesn't align with your long-term goals and values, or asserting your boundaries at work to manage your workload effectively, it is essential to prioritize your own needs and aspirations. I always love the quote that says something to the effect of, when you say no to one thing, you're actually saying yes to something else. By confidently and respectfully saying no when appropriate, you're taking control of your career trajectory and ensuring your decisions align with your heart-based path. So in summary, when saying no in your career, you're going to want to think of these couple things. Be assertive yet polite. Clearly and confidently communicate your no while maintaining a respectful and polite tone. You can offer a brief explanation, so provide a concise and valid reason. Keep it simple. Avoid apologizing or providing any lengthy explanations. Maintain open communication. So demonstrate professionalism and respect and lay the groundwork for potential future opportunities and collaborations. So if you're declining a job offer, expressing gratitude for the opportunity and keeping the lines of communication open can leave a positive impression on the hiring company. You might express interest in staying in touch for future opportunities that better align with your goals. This fosters that positive relationship and keeps the door open, which is so important no matter where you are in your career. Similarly, after asserting boundaries at work to manage your workload effectively, it's essential to follow up with your manager and ensure mutual understanding and alignment moving forward. And remember that it could take a few conversations. And then lastly, practice. You can practice saying no. That will help you build your confidence. You could role play with a friend or a colleague, or write out a few bullets before you have the conversation, or even rehearse your response to ensure clarity and effectiveness before delivering it. By implementing these strategies, you can effectively decline requests and say no at work while maintaining professionalism and fostering positive relationships with your colleagues. Remember that saying no isn't a sign of weakness, but rather a demonstration of self-awareness, ultimately leading to greater fulfillment and success in the long run. That's a wrap for this week, my friends. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the show, please consider recommending it to a friend. As always, notes from this episode can be found on the blog at flourish.careers/blog. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.